Want to get your kids off the screen and into something healthy, fun, and hands-on? Let me tell you a little secret. Growing microgreens is the project they'll absolutely love, and it's more impactful than you think. And stick around. My favorite kid-friendly trick that gets your kids completely hooked on growing their own food. Hi, I'm Connor Hebel, and we empower young people to grow their own health. Today, I'm going to be showing you how growing microgreens with your kids can be simple, fun, and make such an impact on their life. And if I sound a little quiet today, I'm traveling and I have a couple friends who are still sleeping, so I want to be a little conscious of that. So if I sound funny, that's why. So let's get on to the content. So one of the biggest things for kids, when you grow a garden, it takes a while. And kids get impatient. They want that instant gratification. Especially in the days of TikTok and all of the technology, having something at the snap of a finger is really huge. That's why growing microgreens is so important for kids, because in just 7 days, they can have fresh live food. And it's not just even 7 days. After the first 3 days, you start to see your microgreens grow so fast. It is really satisfying. Every day you walk by and they look even bigger than the day before. It's like kids, they grow up so fast. Another benefit, there's no long waiting period like traditional gardening. You don't have to worry about weeding, which for young kids, if there's a lot of weeds, can be very intense for them. So to be able to have something that they can grow easily is so important. The other benefit is it's easy for them to access because it's indoors. They just walk over to their kitchen counter and they can make sure that they're taking care of their microgreens. Another huge thing about microgreens, they teach responsibility. Your kids will have to go over, water it, make sure it's still alive, keep it growing, and they can see how nurturing something like that leads to bigger results. And it shows them that their actions make a big difference in the world. It builds ownership. Your kids are gonna be invested because they grew microgreens. They grew it. And here's something I'll add in. I was gonna say it a little bit later on in the video, but I think it's perfect here. Because they have that ownership and they have that feeling of, I did this, they're gonna be more likely to eat their vegetables. I've had kids who have come up to my booth and been like, I want nothing to do with vegetables, none. I don't eat them, I don't like them. But then they start growing their microgreens and they do it just for a fun experiment. And what happens next is nothing short of incredible. The kids who did not want to eat their vegetables are now eating microgreens. So they went from nothing to microgreens, and then once they get used to eating microgreens, there's a chance they'll then go ahead and eat vegetables. In fact, one of the people locally is eating vegetables now after not eating them before. So it's really huge. The other thing, if your kid's on the autism spectrum and they're very particular about what they eat, this can kind of coax them into eating things other than chicken nuggets and hamburgers. So that's really good to know. A couple of my customers who I was talking about there are on that spectrum. I'm also on it too. And so to be able to have something that grows really makes an impact on people's lives. And like, I started growing microgreens when I was 7 because I really needed it for my health, and also because of all the benefits that I'm listing here. And it really made a difference on my confidence, my health, and my life. And for that, for being able to grow microgreens at that age, I am forever grateful. It is so worth it. The other great thing about this, hands-on science experiments. You're not just learning from a textbook. You're seeing how a plant grows. You're seeing how it gets sunlight and how the roots grow. There's so many different cool components of growing your microgreens that you can relate to science and STEM. And this is perfect for homeschoolers because you get to experience what it's like to watch all of these components come together rather than just seeing it in a textbook. This brings up real conversation about health, about food, about how things are grown, and you never know what can come of this. It also gives you conversations you can have with your kids if you're wanting to connect with them and you just don't know how. Sometimes just growing something, doing some fun project will get you even closer and even more connected. It creates those important memories that'll last a lifetime. Growing microgreens with kids also create food confidence. Kids who grow and eat their microgreens are way more likely to eat their greens and stay connected to nature and feel that sense of pride of, I did something that made an impact. I was able to grow my own food. Imagine how many kids don't know where food comes from. There's so many kids who don't know that. And so to be able to show not only where food comes from, but also how to grow your own food is such a vital skill. We've become so disconnected from our food chain and how things are grown. And I feel like COVID really showed that when we become disconnected, things can happen. Produce quality can dip, prices can rise, and that's not good to not have any control over that. So to be able to share that sustainability and that ability to grow and eat your own fresh live food is so important. And I'll also list a video right here that talks about the health benefits of microgreens. Microgreens are really good for you and they're really good for your kids, so it's great to start them eating off healthy. And I'm gonna share a secret in a little bit that will help for those super picky eaters that growing microgreens and eating them still just doesn't work quite yet. There's a way you can add them to every meal that your kids will never know about. If you've ever gardened with your kids or want to start, drop a sprout emoji in the comments. I'd love to hear how that went or what you're looking forward to. I always love reading my comments and I look forward to hearing yours. And since you're ready to start growing your microgreens, check out AmeliaIslandMicrogreens.com/101 for a free microgreen masterclass where I take you and your kids from micro beginners to microgreen growers using my 14 years of microgreen growing experience so that you can have the best fun and easiest time growing your microgreens right at home. All right, so now let's make sure that this is fun for kids. There are a couple key aspects that you want to have in growing your microgreens with your kids. Because kids have that instant gratification level, make sure that you begin with seeds that are easy to grow. A couple big reasons why. You want to make sure that your kids are going to be able to stick with it. There are some varieties like your herbs that take about 2 to 3 weeks, and those aren't good to start your kids on. I highly recommend like broccoli, kale, collards, some of the ones that I linked in that video earlier, and because those take 7 days to grow, so that's a fraction of the time of the other one. They sprout fast and they look awesome. Create a mini grow station. Get them the soil, the seeds, the spray bottle, everything they need to grow their microgreens, and allow them to add stickers or draw on it or do whatever they want to make it a little bit fun and creative. Make it their own. And if you want to make this process super easy, go ahead and get a microgreen kit. That'll save you the time of figuring out how to do the seeds, the soil, where to source all of that. We just make it super simple. You open up a box, get your seeds and soil out, and you start growing. Super easy. Celebrate the small wins. I feel like a lot of times we don't celebrate the little things. So celebrate when your microgreens are growing with your kids. Celebrate each day that they keep growing and talk about what stage they're in. It's really cool to be able to share, this is the seed, this is the sprout, this is the microgreen, and then after the microgreen there's the true leaf, which is when it has 3 leaves instead of 2. So there's so many different ways you can tie this into homeschooling or just teaching your kids even more. Take pictures and show them how proud you are. And speaking of pictures, be sure to tag Amelia Island Microgreens on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, or TikTok, wherever you're gonna be posting these pictures, because we'd love to see your growth and how much fun you had. It's why I do what I do, and it always means a lot to hear from you all that things are going well and you're enjoying your microgreens. I know they made a huge impact on my life, and so to be able to share this gift and share it with you is such a huge blessing. All right, now that your microgreens are grown, another cool thing, get your kids involved in the kitchen. Make sure that when it's harvest day, they're there harvesting the microgreens, they're involved in that. You can even choose a recipe and get them involved in cooking the recipe so that they can add their microgreens to it. And this just adds that anticipation of, I did this and now I'm gonna add it to a meal and it's gonna be so cool. So it really adds that level of confidence and that feeling of, I'm doing something that's making an impact. And if they have friends, let them teach others. Bring their friends over and they can do a little grow party. As Albert Einstein said, and I'm paraphrasing here, essentially, when you know something, you can teach it to someone else. Allow them to teach it to someone else so that they can get an even better knowledge of the growing microgreen process, and especially of the science side. Let your kids grow the microgreens and teach their friends about the health benefits, about the science side, and just about the fun process of growing your own food. It gets addicting. It's so much fun, and especially when you can bring your friends in on the whole amazing experience. Teaching it gives them that pride and knowledge that really makes a difference in a young kid's life. I mentioned something about if your kid still just won't eat the microgreens, what you can do to add it into their meals without them even knowing it. That's coming up in just a moment. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more amazing microgreen videos to take your kid from microgreen beginner to microgreen grower. I like to say, you may not have a green thumb, but you have a microgreen thumb. All right, so that secret tip, go ahead and dehydrate your microgreens in a dehydrator. And once you do this, it'll crumble into a fine powder. Add it to your salts, and now you have microgreen finishing salts. And a tray of microgreens will last you for quite a while. So now you're probably wondering, what is the easiest way to set up a microgreen station for my kids? Check out this next video where I will dive deep into how to grow your own microgreens, and I look forward to seeing you there. As always, stay awesome.